this presentation, I did something a little bit different. I'm going to highlight the results of our latest 2012 Managing Partner Survey, which will be coming out this Tuesday in our Pennsylvania Law Magazine, PA Law Magazine. But what I also did is really try to make an effort to kind of compare this year's to the results from the last 2 years, as well as look at some other studies out there. How does it compare, national stuff, to try to really kind of synthesize things and give you guys sort of a broader perspective. Now here's my caveat. I'm glad we're in a windowless room because I don't want anyone jumping out the window. So what happens is we do the survey in the summer, and then in the course of the magazine, Gina analyzes the survey and does a large article analyzing the results for the magazine. When I read her proof, I came over to her and I'm like, I'm depressed. I want to stick my head in a bucket, you know, because it was much more dour than the prior year. Now, when I started comparing the last couple years, it wasn't so bad. So I just throw that out there. Clearly, the mood of the respondents this year was much more down than it had been in 2011, which caught me off guard. Now, since that time, I've run into a number of managing partners at mid-size and large law firms, a couple consultants, and I've asked them, "What's going on? How do you feel?" And most of them are like, "I feel pretty good," you know. And it's not, and I don't think they're BSing me. I don't think they're nervous, but I still think there's a lot of caution. I still think everyone's gun shy after the Great Recession. Everyone's worried about, when's the other shoe going to drop. So I want to just sort of provide a little perspective. All right, so let's start with the national outlook, the overall outlook. I mean, nationally, legal spending really slowed in the last quarter of 2011, and it bled into 2012. And I think you can see that also in the magazine. What we do is we also do a summary of the firm financial results for the AmLaw 200 firms from Pennsylvania as well. Now, granted, that's 2011's results. But if you look at that, for 2011, most of the AmLaw 200 firms in PA were down slightly in revenue, or only up between 2% and 7%. 7% was really the high mark, and I think that was Morgan Lewis and Fox were right around there. Generally, everyone was under 5%, and if I had to push it, I think it'd be 2.4 to 3%, and more than a few were down. Now, that's down from 2010, when I think on average most firms were about 5% or 6%. Nationally the economy is still weak. It's vulnerable, but there have been some signs of encouragement. I mean, I was talking to real estate agents recently who weren't trying to sell me on anything, and apparently new home sales and existing home sales are started creeping up in prices, and a lot of people have said the two things that need to happen is stabilization in the real estate market and also low employment. However, the buzzword, and I hadn't heard it before the election, is the fiscal cliff. So everyone I've talked to and every managing partner I've talked to said if we go off the fiscal cliff, things are going to be tough. So root for Congress and the president to make a deal. And I thought about it, though, and in light of some of the survey results that I'm going to talk about, and in light of some of the mood of some people, I started to ask myself, well, are things really that bad for the legal market? And so I started looking at a couple other studies. I think some of you may have been at the BTI presentation a few weeks ago, and I also got a detailed report from them, so I started going through it. And here's the interesting thing. According to the BTI report, outside, the spending at the largest companies in America, their outside spending on outside legal services, I mean, it's down from the highs of 2007, 2008, but not a whole lot in terms of raw dollars. And if you look at the percentage of their overall legal budget in terms of outside spending, it's really the same. It's about 6.36%, which, being the simpleton I can be sometimes, it just says, hey, look, they're still spending the same percentage. It's just that they've managed to lower the price of what they're paying. According to that BTI report, spending went up every year between 2002 and 2008. That was really the boom. And then it came down in 2009, 2010. But according to this report, if you look at it, the amounts, the spending level amounts, right now, they're basically even with, just slightly below 2006, 2008. So my point is, at the height of the boom, the outside legal spending that corporations are spending, the outside spending on legal counsel, it's still in the same ballpark. It's not that, just that things aren't continuing up. So that just sort of gives you perspective on the outside out there.